Good morning. Welcome to this online edition of the Punic Wars. The objective today, students will learn about the Punic Wars and their impact in history, which is Sunshine State Standard 6, World Geography 3.9. Explain the impact of the Punic Wars and development of the Roman Empire. By the end of this, you should be able to explain why the Punic Wars were important, and I'm going to ask you to reflect on that on a assignment on Edmodo. So let's first start off with what Rome looked like and what Carthage looked like. You have Rome, which technically is right there, controlled all of this. Meanwhile, you have Carthage, which is all this purple. Rome's greatest threat at the time was from Carthage, and those are the early Phoenicians. Remember, the people who traveled around, the sea people, they created the alphabet, phonetic alphabet. In 246 BC, they had the First Punic War, and that was a fight to control Sicily. Again, Sicily, that portion right there. The Carthaginians had an amazing army. It was absolutely awesome. The Romans didn't, but they quickly decided to come up with one, and they made a new invention, a movable bridge from the front of the ship. This made such an impact on the war that 20 years later, and after many warships were created, the Romans actually won and took control of Sicily, as well as a large sum of money from the Carthaginians. So go ahead and write these parts down. You can pause. And here's an image of the ships. So you have the Rome ship here. And they had a little plank, kind of like a drawbridge, which would go over, and people would go over and take the Carthage ship. Kind of like pirates. So this map shows you exactly what impact that had. Rome is here, as I said earlier. The start of the First Punic War, Rome only owned this portion. The end of the third, there are three, we've only covered one, we're about to do 2 and 3 now. The end of the Third Punic War ended with this being Rome, that being Rome, and that, and that. By the end of Caesar, by the death of Caesar, everything red included with Rome. So you can see Rome's slowly taking over the world. Second Punic War was actually documented in a book by Livy called War of Hannibal. I had to read it for my Greek history class, actually Roman history class. I'll summarize it here though in like 2 slides. Upset about losing Sicily, Carthage went towards Spain. So, go back here. Upset about losing this area. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Upset about losing this area, Carthage went here. Rome did not want Carthage so close to Roman territory, so they convinced the Spanish to rebel. Carthage sent its greatest general, Hannibal, to attack Rome in 218 BC. This is not the same Hannibal that's in modern culture and movies. This is not that dude. Completely different guy. This one, though, was nonetheless terrifying. He sailed from Carthage to Spain, marched across France, which was called Gaul at the time, crossed the Alps, lost a lot of men in this, and still managed to defeat the Romans. So you're going to write down what is in red. Here's an image of Hannibal's troops, and the Romans. You can tell it's Romans, first of all, by the phalanx, the formation. Also, you have this thing here, which is a standard. This right here tells you which legion it is. Standard is so that the army knows where to group. Here's another much more dramatic image of the elephants coming in. Can you imagine that? You're there, and all of a sudden these elephants show up, and you've probably never seen an elephant before, and they're coming towards you in the middle of a war. Completely terrifying. In response to being defeated by Hannibal and his elephants after they've come such a far way, the Romans created another army to go and stop the people from Carthage. Roman forces, led by Scipio, captured Spain and attacked Carthage directly. Hannibal walked all the way back, or probably actually rode all the way back to defend his people, but lost. The Carthaginians gave up their navy and paid Rome a lot of money for this. And this isn't uncommon to pay the winner of the war money. In 146 BC, Rome finally destroyed Carthage in the Third Punic War. In the 140s, all of Greece fell under Roman rule, so the the Romans decided Carthage wasn't enough. We'll take all of Greece as well. And in the 120s BC, Rome conquered its first Asian country, not all of Asia, sorry, its first Asian country. Now it's time for you to reflect on Edmodo, or if you prefer on paper, although I prefer Edmodo. You're going to respond to two things. First, what stood out most about the Punic Wars? Just give me one sentence. What stood out? Second, why was the Second Punic War so important? 3-sentence essay. Remember, 3-sentence essay is to claim, to cite, to clarify. Claim. Why was it important? Cite. Where exactly did you get the information? Clarify. What does it mean? And that's the Punic Wars.